So, Victor, good morning. Thanks for coming on today. I would
How
like
you
to
doing,
go
man?
ahead, give you a few seconds to go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody. Tell them who is Victor Bacon.
I'm Victor Bacon. I'm one of the best damn dads in Springfield. Uh,
Oh,
that's it, man. I'm a
all
normal
right,
person.
all right,
That's it.
all
That's all.
right. Okay, so before we get going here too deep into the subject, I'm gonna go ahead and ask you a couple questions on political stances and views and party preference and stuff to that nature.
All
So,
right.
how often do you vote? Would you say that you are a regular voter? You vote when you get around to it, or you never vote?
Well, to be honest, I am not a voter. I don't
Okay,
get out. I don't believe in until I see something real.
okay,
People
all
talk
right.
real all the time, but they don't never come through.
Uh,
My bad. I'm eating my breakfast too. I'm eating my orange. My bad.
you're good, brother. You're good. Okay, so all right, so you don't if you don't vote, you probably don't really probably lean right or left then, I would assume, right? You probably don't have a
Nah,
party that you call home.
nah, not really. I'm straight edge. Whatever right. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Whatever's right doesn't matter with the
yeah.
letter behind their name. Okay, that's good.
No.
So you're sort of centralized on the political spectrum. So that is, to me, that's excellent. I think we could actually have a real honest conversation from that. So the subject I want to get into today is going to be the legalization of marijuana here in Illinois.
Okay.
Okay. And is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? While we were trying to get you on here, I went ahead and I pulled up an article, and it's got 10 arguments for marijuana, why it should be legal.
Okay.
And so what I'm got going on is the prohibition of cannabis takes financial and social toll on society. The world will not collapse into chaos. Okay,
Right.
so marijuana enforcement is inherently biased. Cannabis has medical explanations. Cannabis is 114 times less toxic than that of other legal substances. Legalization hasn't led to increased use among teens or minors. Cannabis generates revenue, which is a big one we're going to talk about. Keeping marijuana illegal is expensive. Legalizing cannabis could eliminate the black market. Legalizing cannabis creates jobs. Okay, so there's 10 arguments that I don't know if we'll get through all 10 of them, but I definitely, you being a young black man here in our state, I want to look at this. Number 3, marijuana enforcement is inherently biased. No matter which way you put it, when it comes to arrest for simple marijuana possession, black Americans are the top contenders. Overall, they are four times more likely to be arrested for marijuana,
Mm.
despite the fact that blacks and whites both use cannabis at similar rates. Now, they said use cannabis at similar rates. Even in more progressive states like Oregon, black Oregonians are still twice as likely to be arrested for low-level cannabis charges. Now, I've got their study here, and we'll pull it up in just a second. But you being a young black man in the state of Illinois, I would like to. What do you think about that? Would you say that's true? That's false? Would you say it's not as black and white as that? What would your honest opinions be on that statement? That no matter which way you put it, when it comes to arrest for simple marijuana possession, black Americans are the top contenders.
Uh, I like to stick with statistics. You
Okay,
know,
perfect. Okay, so let me pull up this article real quick then. Let's see exactly what they're talking about. I like
Okay.
you, Victor. Good job. He's like, no, let's look at the numbers. Let's talk about this. Good. Okay, so
Once again, sorry for eating my orange all on.
no, you're all right. You're all right. It took us a minute to get going here, man. I don't know. I think it was because I held the phone straight up and you weren't holding yours sideways at the time. But it told Justin to turn his vertical, so I don't know. Okay, so
I just
here's
kept
where.
pressing. I kept pressing it, and I kept pressing it, and it said, yeah, turn your phone vertical, horizontal or something.
Yeah. Okay, so then you got to flip it sideways when it does that. Okay, so next time, then what that'll do, that'll put us on the screen side by side. We'll be split screen instead of you just being a little bubble up here in the corner.
Okay.
Well, that we'll get it figured out for the next one. Okay, so here we go. Here's some statistics. The war on marijuana has largely been a war on people of color, despite the fact that marijuana is used at comparable rates by whites and blacks. State and local governments have aggressively enforced marijuana laws selectively against black people and communities. In 2010, the black arrest rate for marijuana possession was 716 per capita, 100,000 people, while the white arrest rate was 192 per capita. Stated another way, a black person was 3.73 times more likely to be arrested for marijuana possession than a white person. Okay, so there we go. Now we're talking about a possession, because they talked earlier about the usage, and so I was like, well, not many people get busted for usage. So okay, so now we're gonna go talk about possession. Okay, so it looks like, according to these statistics in 2010, that 716 per 100,000 arrests were black, 192 were white. So that seems like we have a very, to me it does. It sounds like we have an off balance.
Bias, yep.
Okay, so now I guess let's talk about so why do we think that is? Do we think that is just do we think that is just white privilege? Do we think that is the white male patriarchy? What do we think that the reason for that is?
The actual number one reason, I don't want to too much say. We can all hit and miss and shoot towards that. The number one, everybody can have their opinion, but sad. I mean, well, let me first start off by stating my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of like how you said, almost you know what, we do this, but it's a shameful thing, but we're gonna make them look dumb for doing it. You know, like however you want to call that. You know what I'm saying? And really, it shouldn't even be like that, because it was consumed by, I want to say, the whites first, right? Like, they started using it first, right? Or am I sure?
Possibly.
Am I like?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, the Indians were sitting around chiefing on the
Yeah,
pipe
yeah,
and
the
stuff,
Indians,
so,
yeah.
you know,
But
so I don't really know.
I'm talking about before it
I
was.
know that hemp was cultivated. I haven't really looked into much of the history on it, I'll be honest.
But
okay,
like,
so I guess my question is more of you as being a young black male. Do you feel like that you would be targeted out and arrested? Okay, let's say that you and me were both standing on a street corner. Cop came up, searched both of our pockets, pulled a dime bag out of my pocket and a dime bag out of your pocket. Do you feel like, and you know, growing up as a young black man, these are questions I can't answer. I can't, you know,
right,
I'm not in your shoes, bro, so I can't answer those questions. So do you feel like, and not saying that, I'm not asking you for you to give an answer one way or another, truthful or, you know, absolutely or not. In your feelings, growing up as a young black man, do you feel like you would be 10 times more likely to be arrested for that dime bag and I would get to walk free?
Yeah,
Okay.
very, yeah.
Perfect.
Be honest.
Perfect.
If just like you said, I'm gonna go off your lead. If you was standing there and I was standing there right next to you, right, and they grab one out your pocket,
Mm-hmm.
and let's just say they didn't even check me yet, they gonna say, well, let's check him
Uh-huh.
and see what he got, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's gonna be a thought. Well, maybe they found you with it first, but they're gonna say just
Right.
because they found me with one that I sold yours to you, you know.
Okay. Okay.
You
I
feel me?
see. I see
Yeah, I
what you're
mean,
saying. I see what you're saying. And then, and you're probably absolutely right. They're probably going to try to take me off in the car and say, "Hey, it came from him, didn't it?" You
yeah,
know,
yeah, exactly. There you
when
go.
in
There you go.
probably
Yep.
all actuality, 9 out of 10 times it's the other way around. But,
Yep.
but but
Yep.
that's neither here nor there. So okay, so and I'll agree, man. I'll agree to an extent that I believe that to be true, and I've seen
But
it. I've seen it in our
it's not
society.
and it's not always the fact. You know what I'm saying? It really, really got to depend on the cop. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? No matter who wrong in the situation, it depends on the person that's applying the law. You know what I'm saying?
they'll absolutely, absolutely. So now we come back down to that individual responsibility of do, and this is kind of where I was kind of trying to lead with this. I'm glad you brought it up because, so my question becomes: as somebody who looks at the law within the four corners of the document, my question becomes, do we have a law problem that is unequal, or do we have a enforcement problem that is unequal?
Well, how much money does government get off of it, whether they catching it on the street or shoving it out in these dispensaries? It's a dollar sign to me.
Well, and I'll 100% agree with you, and I guess so. So in full, I guess in full disclosure here, real quick, I am opposed to legalization of marijuana. Okay, and I've got a couple
Yeah.
reasons why. I do, however, support. However, support decriminalization. Okay, and
Mm.
then and I mean, people will say, "Yeah, we have that now." Da 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 da. But no, we don't have full decriminalization. What we have is we have releasing of some of the restrictions. Okay, so we're lightening up some of those restrictions. So now we're saying you can walk around with a quarter ounce in your pocket, and it's only a minor infraction. It's basically like a traffic ticket. Okay. When I say decriminalization, I mean complete decriminalization, right? I mean, grow it in your backyards, do your thing. If you want to, if that's what you want to do your thing. You know, you are free humans walking around this planet, free to do as you wish. If you wish to go back there and you wish to plant weed in your garden and you wish to go in your house and you smoke it, that's on you. And then I believe that's
My,
all about personal responsibility and liberty. Now, I believe the problem comes in is when we see someone exit outside of their own domain and then their usage becomes harmful to another person, whether it be a DUI, um, you know, I've seen different people, marijuana affect different people differently. I've seen some people that have had really bad withdrawals that would probably rob and steal to get marijuana. But then, most of your potheads that you run into, they're not going to lie, cheat, and steal to get marijuana.
right.
That's more of that's something more. And growing up in the neighborhoods that I've grown up in, that's something more that we associate to the crackheads, the crack zombies, right? Like they will rob, cheat, and steal their own mothers to get the next fix, right? And you don't really
Right.
associate that with weed, but when you hear the lawmakers and people have these discussions, that's how it always seems. So we don't ever get the real side, real people living out here that these regulations and all this affects opinion. So I'm really glad that you're doing this with me today. So where do you stand on legalization? Should we legalize it? Should we keep it illegal? What should we do with it?
That's a tough one, man, because if you legalize it, you doing more harm to the world than anything if you think about it and you break it down. I mean, it's gonna affect people slowly by shortly, but when the shortly comes, it's gonna be it's gonna be there. To tax it and like far as you can go in the store and buy it, that's pretty cool. Like keeping it out of people's hands who don't want it and stuff like that, or making it to where they gotta have a special ID to get it. That's cool,
Right.
but it's almost like a control thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hey, where's the freedom at? Like you said, growing in your backyard or whatever. I heard I mean, well, in California, they got it to where you can only have 3 pots, 3 plants, or something like that.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but
I'm
like,
not positive. I haven't really. I'll be real honest with you. I haven't followed the legalization laws across the country because, like I
right.
said,
I
I
just
disagree
I
with
got
it. So it's
some some documentary that but the cops was going around busting people for having 3 pots, more than 3 pots in their, you know, and
okay.
it's like,
Okay. Okay. I'm following.
that's cool. Like, I understand if it's a restriction on how much you can get, but it's like for recreational use, like far as you using it, not bagging it up or selling it or something like that. That's one that, like, people should have that. People should have how much they want from it, even if they want to build a hemp house. You know,
Amen.
like,
Amen.
but now when it comes to government, I think they're looking at it as, well, if we give all this weed out here and let it be free, that's giving them a self-dependence. They ain't even got to depend on us no more. You know, if they can
Yes.
sit out there and sell a couple pounds and feed their kids and pay their bills and literally do it without harming or shooting or fighting no one, and everybody's still happy with a little hunger from a blunt they smoke, government ain't gonna like that.
Well, and you're absolutely right. And that's the problem that I see with what we have going on with the drug war right now. It's not necessarily a drug war on marijuana because it harms folks. In my opinion, it's more of a drug war on marijuana because we're not collecting tax dollars off of it.
Tax money,
Okay.
exactly.
And so what we're
But they
seeing out
trying
here in the
to.
streets, and whether it's black people or white people that are being affected from it disproportionately, I believe that that's kind of a whole different subject. And when you're advocating for something, I don't believe that that should be part of the discussion is why we should legalize it. I think that because, see, I don't believe that that is a four corners of the document problem. I don't believe that in the statutes that are written that it says you have to arrest 10 times more black people than you do white people for this, this punishment. I think that comes to, like you touched on earlier, into more of a enforcement issue with who the enforcers of the law are, and there's a bias there, kind of like we see in the family courtrooms when you give police so much discretion to operate within the four corners of that document. It can be applied differently to different people. So I don't believe that it's a four corners of the document issue as far as the bias goes. So where I'm at with it is I'm looking at it more on like a tax level. Okay. And so the reason I see government, and it's kind of starting to show right here in Illinois right now, is that, okay, so we've got young men coming up as fathers, 17, whether they should be a father at 17 or not, that's a whole different story, but it happens. So it's a reality. Okay. This guy, let's say he does work full time at KFC, right? Let's say she leaves, she takes 60% of his pay, right? Because the judge put him in an arrearage order, okay? So now this guy is selling dime bags on the streets to help keep a roof over his head, to help keep a vehicle to get him back and forth to work,
Pay
to,
his child support.
supply, right? Okay, to make ends meet, okay? Well,
Understandable.
now we have a state of Illinois that is in one of those situations where they can't put food on the table anymore. They can't make ends meet anymore. Okay. Well, when we do it on the streets, they arrest us. They lock us in a cell and they throw away the key, right?
And when you
So,
get out, it's even harder.
but now they can't make ends meet, and now they want to legalize it and tax it and regulate it. Okay,
They
so
sell it
that
to us.
they can make the profit off of it. So they want to do the same thing that they've been imprisoning us for years. They want to legally do it now, right?
Right.
And this comes back to something that I'm totally against too with legalization, is when you have legalization, you have regulation. Okay, so that means they do get to come in and they do get to put these certain ramifications on it. Things like, well, we'll legalize recreational marijuana, but if you smoke it, that's a reason for us to take your guns away from you, right? So, because
Yeah, you can't
if
have
we
both
had an
licenses.
honest government, it wouldn't be such a big deal, but we don't. And so I really feel that we have more of a, I feel it's really hypocritical for our government to want to legalize weed. And I don't think that we, the people, for the safety of, they're not, or for the sake of comfort and convenience, that they're not going to arrest us anymore. They're not going to be able to, disproportionately jail young black men for it anymore. All those things are great, right? They sound great for them to sell it to us, but then they control the market. They control it. It's all the profit. They make sure that the profit is seeking to them, which brings me to my next point. And I got to refill my coffee and use the restroom real quick. But I'm going to go ahead and set this question out here for you to ponder on for just a second. What kind of economic impact do you think, okay, because we've already went over the fact that young black men are being incarcerated at higher rates, but what economic impact as far as paying the bills and putting food on the table, it might bring down crime as far as possession charges, but what is it going to do on bringing up other crimes when, I guess what I'll say is that marijuana is an income source for our ghettos, okay? Marijuana holds up the economy within our ghettos. And if we take that, would you agree with that to an extent? I hope that's not seems like a racist statement, because
No.
I
Well,
don't
see,
believe it.
it ain't that. It's just, you talking to a person that understand where you're coming from. It ain't far as like holding it up. I mean, right now, I mean, that's hard, man. I don't think it's holding up, but I don't think it's a big problem. It ain't a problem. It's just a reason for I say a law enforcement to come up and try to get promoted to detective quick.
But yeah, and I agree with that. I do agree with that. But now
And it's not a big problem. Like,
let's say that we legalized it, though. What happens to all those young fathers or young mothers that are selling those dime bags and those ounces and half ounces to put diapers on the baby? Does that lead to, we take that away, does that lead to more government dependency?
Yeah, I was about to say that's
You
going
know
to
what I
lead
mean?
back to them.
Then we have to say, well, now these people can't afford it, but yet we're still gonna go after one side, because if the mom has 5 kids and she's going after him for support because public aid threatens her, she has to, or we're gonna cut off your services, but yet you're not eligible for services, what happens to you?
You going down. If you don't get up and do something, you still got to depend on government to hire you. You still got to depend on
Well, and I mean,
all these.
to an extent, I mean, you got to get the free market. You got to get out there and you got to get somebody. But there's so much government regulation on the free market as well as to the hiring and firing process that, it goes again back into government rights. So I guess here is let's would have a negative or positive impact on the inner cities, on the ghettos in our state of Illinois. Like let's say in the city of Chicago or St. Louis or Springfield, Illinois, or Decatur. We can stick to the Midwest, places we know. And I'm not going to try to go and bust a bunch of people out here. I'm not going to say any names, but I know a lot of people, that I grew up with, that I still know to this day, that sell pot to make ends meet. It happens. It's a reality out here. What if tomorrow that becomes legalized and they lose that income, and it's reproportioned to the government, because if you're buying black market weed, it's illegal still, right? But if you're
Right.
buying weed
Black
from these dispensaries, these government regulated places, then you're paying your taxes on it, and it's all fine and legit. So think about that for 1 second. I'm going to start my coffee. I'll be right back.
Read some of these comments. These 2-3 comments. From understanding, were purchased and attached product.
All right, it's brewing. So, legalization of marijuana, negative impact or positive impact on the ghettos?
It depends, man. It's a positive impact far as people doing what they doing. You know what I'm saying? Having the whether they paying their bills or whatever everything good is always villainized, you know? You know, I mean, even though it looked bad and all that. My question is, let's talk about the actual product, the actual weed.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
First of all, it comes from the ground wild, and you can pick it. Right? You like Kevin Hart said. I mean, not Kevin Hart, but Cat Williams said. You happen to put a fire on it, and it burns, and it makes you feel some type of way. I never seen a person use it for a gateway, or even said it was a gateway. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you use that as a gateway, first of all? You see, I'm just basically going around the problems of the reason why it's illegal, or you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. Like, I never really too much weed. Why is weed a big problem when liquor is way worse than weed? Like, you know, you can buy that shit in a store, drink it while you in your car. Okay, you don't supposed to drink it while you're in your car. Oh, it's a law, blah, 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 blah. As soon as you buy it, you can just down it in your fucking car and go kill somebody.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Now, true enough, when we buy a bag of weed, we got to cuff it, hurry up and get it home so we can smoke it. But after that, we're not worried about killing somebody. We're not worrying about putting no dope in no stick because I want to get higher. Who does that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of...
Well, that's goes back to what I was saying earlier. That's the crack zombies, bro. I mean, that's, you know... And I can say that openly, dude, and honestly, because my parents were addicted to crack for a long time. So I've seen that side of life. So... Okay, so I mean, you're right, and I guess that kind of leads back into my my stance of decriminalization. You know, decriminalization, I think you still have what I think you do to the black market. What I think decriminalization will do to the black market, I think it will also. Okay, I guess. Hold on, rewind. Back to the original question. Do you feel that it will have a negative impact on the ghettos? Okay, here, I believe this, and this is my stance. I believe that it's going to have an economic impact on the ghettos. Okay, so because I believe that, yes, while the police are out targeting young black males in these neighborhoods, I believe that these young black males have to sell pot more than a lot of these young white males do, because of where they live, because of the neighborhood they grow up in, because of the poverty situation that they are living in, growing up in. And it's most of the time it's by no choice of their own. You can't choose where you're born, who you're born to, what color you're born. You know, none of us asked for that in the beginning. So I believe that a lot more of the young black men have to sell marijuana And to sell marijuana is like anything else. You got to get out there. You got to network. You got to, it's just like business. It really is. You got to compete. There's a free market out there because they could buy your brown weed or they could buy Joe's green weed, Well, your brown weed's 25, his is 35, So there's a free market out there and there's competition out there. You do see, some of the gang activity like, oh, this is my place, that. But I've been on the streets. I grew up in the streets. I have never seen a drug deal over a dime bag or maybe even a pound or two of weed where people are shooting each other over marijuana. I just have not seen that. Now, crack cocaine, whole different story. Heroin, whole different story. So to me, I think that, and also I think that when you're young coming up in those neighborhoods, I also think that you are more likely to be started off on a low-level drug like marijuana, right? So that is when you're young, you're growing up, that is like the first thing that you have access to that you can sell. Generally, you're not first selling crack, okay, right? Well, when marijuana, you're young, it generates enough cash, but when you get older and you actually got bills and shit that's got to be paid, and then you throw child support on top of it and stuff, marijuana doesn't cut it anymore. So you go from marijuana being your source of income to, more things like the cocaine and the heroin and the things that are bringing in the bigger profits. So in that sense, I can see it being a gateway leading to succession. And if we're looking at it from a business standpoint, you start at you're selling weed, you're a dishwasher. If you're and nowadays, it used to be crack cocaine, you were the district manager, you ran that shit, it was yours, you were the owner. Well, nowadays it's not, it's heroin's running the game now, and so cocaine, you're like somewhere in the middle, so you're like the store manager, level. And so you got in your economy. So what I foresee happening in the ghettos is I foresee that you're going to lose a lot of the economic support that puts food on the table for young black males and females alike. Okay. B, I think you're going to see those same people, those same incarceration rates start picking up for things like crack cocaine and heroin, because I think they're going to have to move the market to something that is more profitable. Okay. And then C, I see it, I see violence picking up more. Okay. I see more shootings coming. I see more turf wars coming. I see more
it away, right?
What's that?
That's from them taking the use of weed away, right? Or
Absolutely. Okay. And so those are some of the things that I envision happening once we legalize in the inner cities, happening to in the ghettos. That's a very negative effect I feel that legalization would have on our communities, or especially our impoverished communities.
People don't like to look at it like this, though. I mean, this is like a little fundamental fact. But say you get into it with somebody. I heard this off of a joke too that happened to be so real. Jokes are real. One thing I noticed, man, you may joke about it when comedians talk about stuff, it be real, but people laugh at it. Right. When say you did get into it with somebody, right? Mm-hmm. You're mad, you loading up your pistols, you get your gun, you ready, and you getting your team. If y'all sit down and get full of that weed, y'all gonna forget and laugh about the whole situation.
all right. I'll give you that one. Okay.
It's a fact. It's a total fact. You're gonna sit there and smoke that and be like, man, all he did was ran over my cell phone case, and I'm ready to go kill him.
Gonna slow you down and make you think about things a little bit.
Exactly.
Huh?
Then you're gonna go to the refrigerator, and after you put a couple things in your mouth, you're gonna lay down because you're tired.
Yep.
I mean, that's the real effects of weed. And I can honestly say weed had made people forget about doing crimes more than they made people do crime.
Okay. Okay. So,
And that's just
so
the effects
you
of smoking it.
okay? So now, what about? Let's look back at economically. What do you feel?
What you mean?
I mean, economically, do you feel that it would have an economic impact on impoverished communities? Do you
If they
believe
was a
that the ghettos would lose a source of income? I guess.
yeah, of course. I mean, think about it. If you take people is gonna eat regardless. They're not gonna just straight up depend on the government when the government's doing this.
You're right, right?
When you come here, you're gonna get this.
You're
But come
right.
here. Come on now. I mean, we're gonna go get that middle finger, but after we go get that middle finger, we're gonna go get it the other way. And
Right?
people is and I don't know if it's government officials or them up high blue collar people who's looking at it that we just selling drugs or people are just selling drugs just to get a car, get this or get that. It's no that ain't the way of life no more. People are literally like you said, like literally trying to get Pampers. you
Yep.
know, and sometimes they get busted by having one in their pocket and they pull out the money to buy the Pampers and somebody see that. Next thing you know, they're going to jail when they already completed their task. Half the time, it's not like how you seem, like what it looked like, but it
Right.
is what it is. It is what it is. We do have possession, and this that we gonna smoke it or we gonna sell it, but it ain't like we selling it to go get a Bentley. You know, imagine we riding up and
Well,
down the
and
street.
but do you also
You
okay? So now, do you also find that the government now wanting to do the same thing, wanting to sell pot to pay the bills? Do you feel that that's hypocritical? Do you
right?
feel that we should allow them to do that?
I mean, that's very hypocritical. That's crazy. Back in the day, they banned liquor. You know what I'm saying? Way back in the day, you know what I'm saying? They bust your head for drinking liquor. But then they
Yep.
found out how much money they can make off of it, and all of a
Yep.
sudden, liquor is cigarettes. How in the fuck can that help you? Like, what does that do? I don't understand. No way in hell a person sitting up there and say, "Oh, it makes me shit better when I'm taking a shit," or it makes me, relax when I'm mad. How? And it ain't doing nothing but giving you cancer. But that's more illegal than weed. Like, I don't understand. And I don't, man. It's just crazy, man. Like, yeah, the people will take a big impact because now if you out there selling loosies, you can get arrested for that. You know what I'm saying? One man got choked up and killed for selling loosies. You know what I'm saying? By the
Okay.
cops. You know what I'm saying? Just because he had a different hustle. And guess what? Had he been out there selling weed, I think he probably would be alive today because they can charge him with an actual crime, because they already say
Mm-hmm.
weed is drugs or whatever.
Yep.
But he was out there selling loose cigarettes.
Yep.
Cigarettes are legal. Legal. What if he was out there selling Pampers? He would have got choked. If he was out there selling cigarettes, he would have got choked. If he was out there selling lighters, he would have got choked. If he was out there selling pounds of that good, he probably just would have got a charge and been in jail.
Right, because they would have had some on him, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, okay. I mean, and I could support that for a legalization standpoint, why it should be legalized. But then again, now I guess let's come back to so let's say we do legalize it, and he's standing out there selling weed on the corner that is legal, and now they can't. Well, they can charge him still, I guess, because they're going to regulate and say you can't sell unless you have a license and you pay us all this amount of money and you pay your
Right.
taxes and this and that,
Right.
da 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 da,
Right.
right? But so let's say he grows a pound in his own backyard and he's out there selling his own black market weed.
Okay.
He's breaking the law. At that point, he's out there selling something that they could charge him with. Okay, well, let's say, let's say this, because this will line up with your scenario. Let's say he walks into the dispensary, right? And he buys an ounce. And an ounce of weed costs, let's say, $300, right? Okay. So now, let's say then he breaks it down into grams and he sells it for, he gets what? 28 grams, something like that. So let's say he sells at $28 a gram. Okay, so he's going to double up. So he's going to sell it for $20 a gram. So he's going to get 400, 500, and he's going to make $560 back. So he's going to stick $260 in his pocket, right? So he goes in, he buys this legal weed that's legal to sell right inside the store.
Hold on, wait. How much you said it costs?
I don't know. I'm just making shit up.
You said 300. You said 300, but he only made 260
as his profit after he's made his 300.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
All right, 260 in his pocket after his initial investment. Okay, so all right, so he's out there. He dimes this all up into grams. He puts it all into grams. He's out there selling it in loosies, right? So instead of buying it in the store in the bulk, they're out there buying it from him, quick, easy on the sidewalk. Maybe they ain't got their card, whatever, but he's out there selling it to them. The cops come up. He's selling a legal product. Do they choke him or not?
But it's legal, right?
Yeah. And it's just like if you walked into the gas station and bought a pack of cigarettes and you came outside and started selling singles. You walked inside and you bought an ounce and now you're out front selling grams of the legal product.
Right. That's hard. That's wrong. I mean, that ain't nothing else to say. But like, how can you charge me when you doing the same thing? What? Well, so basically,
right. Well, this is where government gets you. Because the people in the store can sell it because they got a permit and the license and this and that. You're not paying us any tax money on it. And then you could be like, well, I just paid my taxes to them. This is my shit now. I own this. And then I could not go and sell this product to my friend. What if it was a pack of cigarettes? I had a pack of cigarettes. I bought them at the gas station. Could I sell them to you? So we got to look at, like, when we put these laws into effect, there's a lot of shit that's got to be taken into consideration. There's a lot of stuff that's got to be looked at before I think we can just jump to and say that, yeah, let's go ahead and legalize marijuana. And
you can make as much as amount of money, probably a little bit less, or even probably a little bit more, depending on how your hustle skills is, if you was just selling pints of rum.
Right.
If you
selling, but but you don't have a liquor license to sell it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So now you're a bootlegger.
Yeah. So you're a bootlegger, right? You sell cigarettes, you can make a profit, and you won't get even if you do get in trouble, you get nowhere near as much trouble if you do selling weed. And weed is almost like a vitamin in crush up in smoke form. Like cigarettes and liquor is killing you. Cancer. But weed actually gets you to eat. Or I can't. It's way more health stuff that I know about weed that people should already know. I was watching this one documentary with Woody Harrelson in it, and he was just explaining about how important hemp was. And that's when I learned about hemp. You can actually build stuff like out of hemp. A house. And you probably can go to the corner, take a corner off and roll it up. But it's still, but it's more important than it is like a demon. How can you call it a drug? Why do they call it a drug? Because you can you feel some type of way after consuming it?
Well, no, because you can feel some kind of way after consuming coffee. You can feel some kind of way after consuming nicotine. You can feel some kind of way after consuming any of those products. So, no, it's only a drug because the government classified it as a drug. And what type of drug they schedule it as. There's a federal scheduling of class of drugs. It's up there with narcotics. I mean, it's
so when somebody say you allowed, but there won't be no drugs in this building, I say okay, but I come in with a bag of weed. Like, I don't have no fucking drugs. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, and then if it's legalized, you don't. If it's decriminalized, you don't. If the laws stay the same as they are now, you do. under their classification within the four corners of these documents that they sit up there at the Capitol and legislate on and make become law.
Right.
So I want you to start kind of thinking about, and we'll bring you back. We'll do this again. I think we're probably going on probably a fucking hour by now. So we're going to go ahead and get off here. But, no, I'm going to bring you back, dude. We're going to discuss this again. We're going to go deeper into this because this is I think it's a lot deeper of a topic than we could really sit here and cover in such a short time. So maybe what we'll do on the next one is we'll try to push down some bullet points on paper and try to stay within those boundaries, those bullet points. And that way we don't get too far off base and end up sitting here talking for 3 hours. Because I could do it, and it looks like you could do it. So
I can talk about. we need to talk about what we was talking about before we got on live. What was we talking about? School and. Oh
man, I don't even remember now. At this point, I don't even remember what we were talking about. Oh yeah. We were talking about the No Child Left Behind Act.
Yeah.
That George Bush put into place, and then Obama tried to renew. He might have renewed it. I don't even remember. The
weed
thing
push
the kids on through school. They can't fail them, whether you absorb the knowledge or not. They just push you on through, but they had no choice. For the federal government, that was another regulation that they put in place, stating that you had to pass the kids. You couldn't fail kids because it hurts their feelings and makes them feel not good enough and things like that. So we'll talk about that on another day, though. We're going to go ahead and get off here. I think we've been on here for an hour. We're going to go ahead and do some more tests tomorrow on trying to get the phone vertical and see if we can't get you to jump right in. And then we'll be back Wednesday morning if you're available to come back.
For sure, man. Hit me up.
All right, brother. Thanks for coming on. Have a good one. All right, everybody. If you could, man, hit that share button. I know it was a long one today. We had a lot of technical difficulties trying to get on here today. I promise I'm going to get it worked out. Once we do get it all worked out, I'm just going to stay sideways for a second. Once we do get it all worked out, things will get a little bit easier. Things will get better. The program will start running smoother. I'm looking for ways to keep the originality in it, not go on script, but also keep some kind of orderly fashion to our discussions so that we can try to rein it in within a certain amount of time. Bear with us. We'll get there, guys. Thanks for watching. God bless you. Deuces.